He never expected his quiet morning at Pine Valley Market to unravel into the chaos that would expose one of the most intricate weapons trafficking networks in the country. For 8 years, Samuel Baird Delaney, an overweight, unassuming giant of a man, had lived a quiet life on his family's farm, tending crops and selling produce. At 6 feet 5 inches and nearly 350 pounds, he was hard to miss, but his slow, friendly demeanor and well-worn overalls made him seem like nothing more than a farmer trying to keep his family's legacy alive. Bear had a past he didn't talk about, a past that involved top-secret operations, dangerous missions, and a level of training that made him one of the military's most effective specialists. After retiring from service, he'd left that world behind, or so he thought. But some habits die hard. Even now, as he unloaded crates of heirloom tomatoes, his sharp eyes scanned the market, noting every exit, every vendor's position, and every unfamiliar face. It was a reflex, automatic and ingrained. The rumble of motorcycles reached his ears before they came into view. Harley-Davidsons with custom exhausts, at least 5 of them. He recognized the noise, a familiar sound that had become more frequent in Pine Valley over the past few months. The Black Hawks, a motorcycle gang known for their aggressive tactics, had made the small town part of their territory. Bear stayed out of their way, avoiding unnecessary attention, but that morning they came to him. The gang's leader, Rex Viper Corgan, dismounted his bike with the swagger of a man used to being feared. His leather vest bore the Black Hawk's insignia, and his sharp, angular features twisted into a sneer as he approached Bear's stall. Behind him trailed 3 others, a massive enforcer they called Tank, a wiry, calculating man known as Ghost, and a fresh-faced prospect who kept shifting nervously, unsure of his role in the group. "Well, well," Viper called out, his voice cutting through the morning chatter. "Looks like the big man's been busy. How's business?" Farmer Bear didn't look up immediately, taking a moment to arrange the last of his tomatoes with surprising delicacy for hands as large as his. Finally, he straightened, towering over Viper but keeping his tone even and friendly. "Morning, fellas. Looking for something fresh today?" "Yeah," Viper sneered, leaning against the stall. "Fresh cash. You're selling on our turf. Time to pay your dues." The market grew quieter as vendors and shoppers drifted away, pretending not to notice the confrontation. Bear could see Ruth Palmer, an elderly regular at the market, watching nervously from the flower store. He gave her a slight nod, reassuring her without words. "I don't know what you're talking about," Bear said, his voice calm. "This market's been here long before you boys started riding through." Tank stepped forward, picking up a ripe tomato and crushing it in his meaty hand. Red pulp dripped between his fingers, splattering the neatly arranged display. "Things change, big man. Time to adapt." Bear's jaw tightened, but his smile didn't waver. "That'll be $3 for the tomato." Viper laughed, a sharp, grating sound. "Hear that, boys? Farmer here thinks he's funny." His face darkened and he stepped closer. "Maybe we need to teach you what happens when people don't show respect." The prospect shifted uncomfortably, glancing around the market as if hoping for a distraction. Ghost, meanwhile, had drifted to the side, positioning himself near an exit, an old habit Bear recognized instantly. This wasn't just a show of force. They were testing him, gauging his reaction, assessing the situation. And Bear knew why. His quiet life had been carefully constructed, but recent events suggested someone had started pulling at the threads. As the gang pressed closer, Bear's secure phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a disguised flip phone, carrying messages only from one source. He didn't need to check it to know what it would say. The Black Hawks weren't acting alone anymore. They'd become pawns in a much larger game, and their newfound aggression was just one piece of a dangerous puzzle. Before Viper could say more, the sound of a patrol car echoed down the street. Sheriff Morgan's timing was impeccable as always. The gang reluctantly backed off, mounting their bikes with promises of unfinished business. As they roared away, Bear began cleaning up the smashed tomato, his movements slow and deliberate. "You all right, Bear?" Ruth asked, approaching cautiously. Just fine, Ruth, he replied, his voice steady. Some folks just like to make noise. Nothing to worry about. But he was worried. The Black Hawks weren't just a nuisance anymore. They were a symptom of something much bigger. His sources had been clear. A major weapons shipment was moving through the region, and the gang had been drawn into the operation. The local law enforcement had no idea what they were dealing with, and Bear had spent the past 8 years ensuring his own involvement wouldn't be discovered until the time was right. That time was now. Later that day, Bear drove his old truck to a diner on the edge of town. The sign read Gracie's, but anyone involved in the operation knew it as something else entirely. Inside, the place was nearly empty. Gracie, the owner, greeted him with her usual cheer, pouring him a cup of black coffee. "Busy day at the market?" she asked, loud enough for the 2 other patrons to hear. "Never dull," Bear replied, taking a seat in the back corner where he had a clear view of both entrances. Within minutes, Sheriff Morgan slid into the booth across from him. His uniform was crisp, but his face was lined with worry. "Heard about the Black Hawks causing trouble again," Morgan said. "That gang's getting bolder." "It's not just them," Bear replied, keeping his voice low. "They've got backing now. Military-grade hardware. Someone's using them to move a shipment." Morgan leaned back, exhaling sharply. "Damn it, Bear, you sure about this?" Bear gave a small nod. "I've got eyes on the compound. Activity's picking up. We've got 2 days, maybe less, before it all goes down." Across the diner, one of the other patrons folded his newspaper and approached their table. His name was Victor, though everyone in town thought he was just a lowly insurance adjuster. In reality, he was Bear's handler, the federal agent coordinating the operation. "We've confirmed the shipment," Victor said, sliding into the booth. "Biggest one yet. But there's something else. Chatter about a new player. Someone high up." "Cartel?" Morgan asked. "Worse," Victor replied. "Military-grade operators. They're professionalizing the Black Hawks, turning them into something more dangerous." Bear sipped his coffee, his mind already calculating. "Then we need to draw them out. Make them think they're still in control." "How?" Morgan asked. Bear set down his mug, his voice calm but firm. "We make them come to me." That night, Bear worked late in his barn, the space doubling as his hidden command center. Behind a false wall, monitors displayed live feeds from cameras placed strategically around town. His secure terminal pinged with updates from Victor, confirming the movements of the shipment. At precisely 9 p.m., the first vehicle appeared on his perimeter cameras. A black SUV, its lights off, moving slowly. Reconnaissance. By 10:30, 2 more vehicles had arrived, along with a small group of bikes. The Black Hawks had come back, and this time they weren't alone. Bear moved through the barn, his bulk surprisingly quiet as he geared up. He kept his old equipment in perfect condition, knowing this day would come. As the gang and their professional backup began their approach, Bear took his position, watching through thermal imaging as the pieces fell into place. They thought they were hunting a simple farmer. They were wrong.